everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of The Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is September 30th, 2019, and you have wasted yet another perfectly good month probably not getting anything done. Know how that goes on this bench. Alright, so we have some kit announcements. We have the November restocks for Aoshi Mode. We have the December kits for Fujimi, and then we have a few releases to talk about. A couple domestic kits, a couple of import kits, nothing too long, too crazy, too exciting here. We're going to split the All Japan Hobby and Model Show off into its own video, just because there was so much stuff from it. Not necessarily anything crazy or new, per se, but just a lot of pictures. And I didn't want to bury this stuff in that video or vice versa and have some giant 45-minute long video. So this one will be relatively short on at least of our terms anyway. So over at Aoshi Mode, your November restocks, again, nothing new here, just restocking the shelves. 20-inch wheel sets, BBS LM, Work Schwartz, and SSR Professor VF1s. Reissue of the Liberty Walk Skyline 4-door. That is the original first kit in that series. Reissue of the Liberty Walk R35 version 1.5, version 2, and version 2 Type 2. So that's the white 2017 car, the sort of copperish 2017 car, and then the Advan car. And then a reissue of the A86 Truno in the Initial D Project D boxing, which is sort of the middle grade of the three different 86 Truno kits that Aoshi Mode puts out. Over at Fujimi in the month of December, 2 reissues of their Suzuki Hustler G. The Hustler G is a slightly down trim version of the Hustler kit that they put out probably over a year ago at this point. The Hustler G was just brought out this year, basically adding a little pod on the dashboard that contains a driver camera. It's like faces both ways. One faces out, one faces in. And then also steel wheels. Overall, that's it. There's not really any other difference between the other Hustler kits, which of course have been put out in a gajillion colors at this point. I'm waiting to see whether or not one of these kits comes with actual water slides, because the original set of Hustler Gs didn't, but the original set of Hustlers didn't either. You had to go into the second or third version of the colors to get water slide decals. Just a tiny little sheet, just the gauges, the badges, and a couple other things, because I'm perfectly fine with painting the model kit like I'm supposed to. I just don't like it when all of my options are tied into a vinyl press and sticker type of deal. Even Revell in the last several releases of their Snap-Tie kits have been offering the press and steel stickers as well as water slides. So hopefully one of these will, because I like to get one of the down market Hustlers just to have one. But the 2 Hustlers are going to be released in Moon Violet Pearl, which of course is a very dark sort of purplish color, and then Cool Khaki Pearl, which I'd like to. I have to dig up and see what the color really looks like in real life, because obviously the Hustler molds at Fujimi are highly polished, because that's the whole shtick of these next kits. It's the fact that you don't have to paint them. They're highly polished plastic. It's basically a brown metallic or a brown pearl. My personal pickup truck is a brown metallic as well, so it's a cool color. But I'm interested to see, khaki. It's not exactly the khaki color. Khaki to me is more of a beige tan color. This is more of like an olive drab color. It's definitely a winter camo khaki rather than being like a summer camo khaki. So I'm interested to see. I gotta like I will, if I can remember, in the mountains of other stuff I have going on, to take a peek at what that car really looks like in real life, because it would probably, I'm gonna guess, be more akin to the white satin pearl that Toyota used and Subaru used on the BRZ in '86. They had a color when that car came out that was a white pearl, and then it had a satin clear coat to it, so it was metallic, but it was not like shiny metallic. And I'm thinking that's probably what this color is more like than it is what it's going to come out as being really, really shiny metallic brown. So at any rate, that's there. And then 2 wheel sets, an Advan A3A 15-inch wheel and a Volk TE37 17-inch wheel. So that is the kit announcements. We have one kit tease before we go into kit releases, and that is also from Fujimi, and it is this sort of rapid, not so much a rapid prototype, but a test shot, because the glass is, all foggy, as you can see here. But it is a test shot of their upcoming Suzuki Jimny JB23. The JB23 is the second gen K car version of the Jimny. The Jimny has a sort of an interesting sort of history, if you care about small Japanese cars, I guess, where the Jimny was not so much a full-size SUV as much as it was a compact SUV. It is what we got here in this country, of course, as the incredibly rollover-prone Suzuki, right? And then while the Jimny, along with its samurai, American version, were going on, there was also a K car, which in Japan is a under 660cc, shorter than a very small car. I can't remember what the exact length of the car could be right off the top of my head, but it's an under 660cc engine. It's very, very small, compact commuter car. Excuse me. And that also was going alongside the bigger compact version of the Suzuki Jimny as well. At some point, the Suzuki Jimny, of course, doesn't exist as a compact SUV. It only exists as a K vehicle. So there's like a first gen Jimny, a first gen K Jimny, and then the second gen and third gen Jimnys are these smaller K cars. So this is the second gen. They made this car from 1998 to 2018. I almost did that backwards, but I guess it would have worked either way. But the point is, they made this car more or less unchanged for 20 years. So there are a number of different versions of this and options for this and whatnot that Fujimi can certainly take a peek at in terms of what they're going to do with this. There is an AutoZam version, which of course is a Mazda, and they did do the Mazda Flare version of the Suzuki Jimny, so I would not necessarily put that past them. And so it's interesting to finally see a little bit of movement on this, because they announced this spring that they were going to do this, and they're going to do the current new 2018 Plus Jimny, so it's good to see some movement on those. It's been a relatively quiet year from Fujimi otherwise. And then onto the kit releases. So we have two from round two, one on each side of the branding. On MPC, we have the Weekend Warrior 1967 Pontiac GTO. This is another one of those kits to sort of know what you're getting before you buy it. Because you're like, oh, the 67 GTO. But then you realize, oh, it's that crappy 67 GTO that looks like, fart, and it has a whole bunch of sort of wrongish parts included with it, because the GTO tooling went out to the 70s and then got backdated for some reason to 67, and so the interior is weird and the way it fits together is kind of odd, and so on and so forth. Do a little bit of research into this beyond the people that are going to kit review it in exchange for the kit. That's exactly those kind of reviews don't exactly point you in the right direction necessarily, because everything is beautiful and everything is the most detailed thing ever. And this kit has 4 runners worth of parts. It's very, very basic. It's the Revell 66. Let's put it this way: is like a Mona Lisa compared to this thing. And there's nothing really wrong with the Revell 66. I'm just saying from a aspect of it. So you can build it 1-3 ways. Street. Weekend Warrior and Drag. I think Weekend Warrior and Drag is sort of the same thing when you think about it. There's peppered tires in this, and it does include, I thought it was a completely new tool Christmas tree set, and then did a little research into it. And originally back in 1967, when this was an annual kit, it had a Christmas tree drag racing starting light in it, and at some point got taken out. So it is a newly tooled Christmas tree, but it's just sort of adding it back into the kit where it always has been. So there's that. And then the other kit we have is the Plymouth Valiant, or Valiant, depending on how you pronounce that. Scamp little short track sportsman car. You may take a look at this and go, that doesn't look like a Plymouth, that looks like a Dodge Dart. Well, yes, that's because it is. At some point back in the day, AMT released it like this, because this is a recreation of the box art from this kit back when it was released back in the 70s. And it's, that's what it was back then too. So, round 2 has done nothing to fix this car in terms of actually making a Plymouth out of it. So be aware of that. It's just the Richard Petty car with some different decals tossed in. optional chin spoiler, but I believe that optional chin spoiler has been in there the whole time. It's just optional as whether or not you put it on the kit. So yeah, that is also back out there for you folks. So moving overseas, we have one part set out of Fujimi, some stuff out of Hasegawa, and some stuff out of Aoshi Mode. Over at Fujimi, you got the police car part set. This is some light bars. There's also like a radar, some radios, cones, a couple of helmets, and other bits and pieces of police gear, Japanese police gear, obviously. When it comes to what you're getting here in the light bars, as you look at the box art, you get one light bar with the V pattern that is on top of that 300ZX. And then you get, if you look underneath the SOAR, that would be the Toyota on the upper right-hand side for the folks that don't know they're Japanese cars. There's that light bar, very square, very rectangular, looks like a Federal Twin Sonic. That is in there as well. And then the three other light bars that are on the two GTRs, the R34 on the bottom right and the R32 on the bottom, in the top left, you see there's three backgrounds to them as far as what like the middles go and with how the lights go. One has like a speaker, one has actually I think there's two different style speakers there, and then one has just sort of a clear light set. You get the base, all about that base, for one of those, and then the interior pieces and the light, the light domes are the same shape, but the middle piece, as well as the actual what the lights look like inside, the reflectors inside are different. So there's three light bars in here, along with the other bits and pieces. This makes it look like there's at least four, perhaps five, but those three that are sort of rounded like an Aerodynamic or maybe a Jetsonic, those are all share the same base. So you can only build one of the three styles out of that. So there's three light bars in here, along with the other bits. Over at Aoshi Mode, we got their two tuned model cars for the month of September. First up, you have this, the Toyota Racing Development A86 Corolla 11. This was probably originally known as the N2 version. This is a curbside, and you cannot build it necessarily factory stock because it doesn't have factory stock wheels in it, and then it's obviously got all of these aerodynamic pieces for the race car setup. It's just a reissue of it in this new boxing series. This kit seems to get reissued about every 9 months or so, so nothing new about it other than the box that it's in. And then we also have this reissue, which is the Garson DAD Accord Wagon. It's been a little while since this kit's come back out, I think. I can't remember it being in the last 5 years that we've been doing this show. But this is, of course, the mid or late 90s Honda Accord Wagon kit that Aoshi Mode did. And it has all the Garson VIP stuff added to it. Wheels, all of these ground effects and stuff like that. You cannot build this factory stock at all. There's no stock bumpers, no stock wheels, no stock body pieces. Like the grill is all different in here as well. So you're building the Garson GT Gerard, or whatever they're calling it, Accord Wagon here. And that's all you're building out of this. So just to be aware, it's not a new kit or anything. Nothing new, nothing newly tooled about it. Like I said, it's been a little while since it's been out, and it's just being added to the new box, or the new box set. I would say not a box set per se, but it is the tuned model car, that whole sales thing. And then lastly, from Aoshi Mode, I got this restock of the Aventador Super Veloce. So just restocking the tills on that one. Over at Hasegawa, a couple of kit releases. Straight reissue, this being the 71 Safari Rally winning Fairlady 240Z. This is, of course, the follow-up to the Bluebird Rally kit that came out last week. In terms of years, 70 was the Bluebird, 71 is the 240Z. This car really got roughed up in the rally, but it won. The car is in the Nissan Museum. It's missing the right front fender because of the some race damage it received, but it was not enough to knock the car out of not only contention, but off of the actual overall win. So very cool, just piece of history. Again, this kit gets reissued at least once a year, so there's nothing new about it, just reissuing. It does say it's cartograph decals, but I think it's had cartograph decals. The last couple of releases, and then last but not least for this video is this. It is the Lancia 037 Rally 1994 Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship entry. So I haven't done. A friend of mine was, because we're trying to figure out what the wheels are on this, because the wheels that you see in this picture don't come in this kit, and he's tracked down actually what chassis number this car was, and I didn't bother to ask him which one it was to go backwards, but I believe this with the Martini livery on it is the privateer entry that was done in 1985 for the Monte Carlo rally. The car then disappeared for the better part of 9 years, and then Team Rosso, which is an Italian-based team, somehow got a hold of this car, decided we should lower the ride height a little bit, ship it to Japan, hire a Formula 3000 driver, and race it in an endurance touring race. Yeah, that's not that good of an idea as it turns out. This car, as it stands as a rally car, has 18-inch wheels in the back and 16-inch wheels in the front, and it's obviously got a much higher ride height. This car, as it was raced in this one-off race, was obviously much lower to the ground much, and has a set of 18-inch wheels on the front, which made this car handle like an absolute pig. It also wasn't intended to be driven at the same sort of speed for a number of hours. It has really piss-poor engine venting, car venting. Look, the little rally doors up on the roof there in the box art. The car did finish the race. It was probably 12 or I think it was 12 or 15 laps down. It was like ninth in its class because other cars didn't finish the race. It was like 9th out of 12, I believe. The idea for this car was actually going to take it and race it in the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka, which is now, of course, the 10 hours of Suzuka, and is a GT3 race. Back in the day, the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka was the big touring car in this Japanese touring car in Super GT, the big touring car endurance race. Yeah, after 3 hours of slopping this thing around, they decided that was a stupid idea. And I believe the car is still in Japan at this point. The wheels on this, we believe, are Meister 3-pieces. Now, 18-inch Meister 3-pieces are available from Aoshi Mode as a wheel set. The difficulty I believe you're going to have here, other than the fact that you're going to have to slam the ride height on this may be one of those kind of model kits that you build and then you glue the wheels onto the chassis, epoxy them to the chassis to get them at the ride height, because I'm not sure you can drop the rally suspension this kit comes with that low. Would be, of course, that since you have an 18-inch wheel in the back and a 16-inch wheel in the front, and I don't know if the wheels that are the tires that are included in this are even slicks or if they're treaded like the rally car. It would be, of course, the fact that you need a set of 18-inch wheels, or 18-inch tires, rather, for the front. So, yeah, I mean, the majority of this livery is the Martini livery that the car had on it last time it was a rally car, and then they threw their name on it. The new numbers on it. There's like some, like work stickers for the tires and things like that. But this is like a very close rendition to how this car was raced in a rally, then dropped and put into a grand touring race. And yeah, it's an interesting piece of history in that. But this was only ever raced in one race in the Fuji race that year in 1994. So I'm going to guess that the car also doesn't come with the mirrors that are on the box art in terms of what you get there. The mirrors in the box art have like little carbon fiber braces to hold the mirrors on because they're not meant to be driven at a high speed for extended periods of time. So you need to replace the wheels. You need to source at least one set of tires, if not two, and then probably have to scratch build the mirrors as well as drop the car. Other than that, the car is like rally stock. Like, they didn't change the wheels to a center lock, so the work-equipped 5 lugs are going to work for you. They actually had to bring out an impact wrench rather than one of those center lug wrenches for it. And, the car is what it is. They did pretty much as little as possible to it and to get it on the track. So, like I said, very cool one-off piece of history there. And, it's a little bit of a shame that Hasegawa, wow, I'm going to name every Japanese kit company there. Shame that Hasegawa did not actually tool up the wheels. I understand why they didn't, because then what do you do with a set of Meister wheels when obviously there are other Meisters on the market already? But, at the same time, it's one of those, ooh, you're a modeler versus a kit assembler arguments. Well, there's enough to do in that kit model-wise in terms of lowering the suspension, scratching the mirrors, or at least scratching the braces for the mirrors, and everything else that goes along with that also having to source the wheels is kind of annoying. I'm not going to scratch build the wheels. And, now I've got to come up with tires as well, because the wheels and tires that come in the kit are the same ones that are on every single other Lancia 037 rally car. They're the aluminum, I could call them, rotary dial wheels. And 18-inch wheels in the back, or 18-inch tires in the front, 16s in the 18s in the back, 16s in the front. Stand up, fight. Too many numbers going on, and I need to get out of here and go to work. So I'm rushing here at the end. So let's deep breath. Okay, we're good. 18-inch wheels in the back, 16s in the front. You need 18s up front. You're probably going to need four slicks. You probably pull those slicks out of like the BMW B-Max kits, or possibly I'm going to guess like the R32 Skylines from Tamiya, probably Fujimi as well. Have that, but then you've got a set of you got a race car with no tires now, so. I just think that it would have been, at least give me the tires. You don't have a set of 18-inch tires that you could have cranked out, and if the back tires are slicks, you couldn't have just run the tire tool, and I don't know what you would have done with a whole bunch of 16-inch tires, but at least thrown in 2 sets of 18 inches. But then it wouldn't fit the front wheels because the front wheels are not the right wheels. So I understand why it was done. I just wish it hadn't been. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, hope you had a great weekend. We went out to the Zanesville Hobby Show, and which is the Y City Scale Modelers, and the Castle Shannon Show, which is Three Rivers Auto Modelers. I think Y City was on their 25th anniversary, or somewhere around that, 20-some years, and then it was the 41st annual Three Rivers, so shows that have been long-standing. Didn't pick up any awards, which is, not to be totally unexpected with, first of all, what we had in there, curbside, foreign, ugly car. And then also, the other models were better. I mean, just straight up, I didn't win, not because of some sort of weird bias, just because there were other better things there. So still had a good time. Got to see a whole lot of people. Not going to name anybody because then I'll forget somebody and somebody will get butthurt. But, great to see all you guys out of the shows. And that's pretty much it locally for here. I don't think we're going to go to Toledo in October. It's just looking like it's too much trouble to go. The first weekend of November are like the last shows locally, where you have the IPMS show in Cleveland. You have the Potbelly Gang, which is a little rinky-dink show here locally. And then the Tidewater Area Modeling Society, or Auto Modeler Society, I'm not sure what the name is. I didn't look recently enough to remember it. But their show is also that weekend down in Norfolk, down in Tidewater, which is where we're probably going to wind up being, which I know sounds crazy. If there's a show 10 minutes up the road, why would you go to Virginia? We're going to Virginia to look at some property and some houses, not property. I'm not buying acreage, but look at some property. And do a couple campus tours and things like that. And then the model show is just sort of the reason to get out of the house and go do that stuff that we've been putting off all summer. So that, I believe, is my fall plans that you probably don't care about, and you turned us off 10 minutes ago. So anyway, guys, for those of you who stayed around, we'll see you on the other side.